I stared at my laptop screen, reading the email for the third time, certain my eyes were playing tricks on me. Dear Miss Catherine Wells, we received your email this morning withdrawing from consideration for the lead architect position on the Metropolitan Arts Museum project. While we're disappointed, we respect your decision to prioritize family commitments at this time. We've moved forward with our second candidate. Best wishes, Richard Chen, Director of Architecture, Morrison and Associates. My coffee cup slipped from my hand, shattering across my home office floor. I hadn't sent any email. I hadn't withdrawn from anything. This was the project I'd been working toward for 8 years, the museum design that would define my career. My hands shook as I checked my sent folder. Nothing. I checked my trash. Empty. Then I saw it. My email was still logged in on our shared home computer downstairs, the one my husband David used when his laptop was charging. The one I'd stupidly never logged out of because I trusted him. I grabbed my phone and called Richard's office directly. His assistant put me through immediately. Richard, this is Kate Wells. There's been a terrible mistake. I never sent that withdrawal email. Someone accessed my account without my permission. There was a painful pause. Kate, The email came from your address at 6:47 this morning. It was very detailed, mentioned your husband's new position requiring relocation, your plans to start a family. We had no reason to doubt its authenticity. But it wasn't from me. My voice cracked. Richard, you know how much this project means to me. I presented 3 times to your board. Why would I withdraw via email instead of calling you personally? I hear you, Kate, but we've already signed contracts with Jennifer Hayworth this morning. She starts Monday. I'm sorry, but legally, we can't reverse this now. Jennifer Hayworth. The name hit me like ice water. Jennifer, the junior architect who'd been at my firm for 2 years. Jennifer, who'd asked to shadow me on the museum proposal. Jennifer, who my husband David had been mentioning more and more frequently over the past 6 months. Jennifer, who David said was surprisingly talented and really gets modern design aesthetics. I ended the call and sat there, pieces clicking into place with sickening clarity. David had come home late 3 nights this week. David, who'd suggested I should take it easy, maybe not pursue such demanding projects. David, who'd asked detailed questions about the museum timeline and my presentation materials. I heard his key in the front door. It was barely noon on a Friday. He usually worked until 6. Katie? His voice drifted up the stairs, artificially cheerful. Can you come down here? We need to talk. I descended the stairs slowly, each step feeling like walking toward an execution. David stood in our living room, wearing the navy suit I'd bought him for his birthday, looking relaxed in a way that made my skin crawl. On the coffee table sat a manila folder, a bottle of expensive champagne and 2 glasses. What's this? I asked, though dread was already pooling in my stomach. He smiled, and it didn't reach his eyes. I got a promotion. Senior project manager at Hartwell Construction. $60,000 raise. He popped the champagne cork. And I think it's time we had an honest conversation about our future. An honest conversation. I repeated the words flatly. Like the honest conversation where you sent an email pretending to be me, withdrawing me from the biggest opportunity of my career. His smile froze. For just a moment, I saw surprise flicker across his face before he recovered. I don't know what you're talking about. Morrison and Associates. The museum project. The email from my account at 6:47 this morning that I never sent. I crossed my arms. You were the only other person in this house. You used the downstairs computer. David set down the champagne bottle carefully. When he looked up, his expression had changed completely. The mask of the loving husband disappeared, replaced by something cold and calculating I'd never seen before. You're right, he said simply. I did send it. And honestly, Katie, that project was never going to happen for you anyway. You're good, but you're not Jennifer Good. I did you a favor, saved you from an embarrassing failure. The casual cruelty of it stole my breath. You sabotaged my career for her? I facilitated an opportunity for someone with real talent. He picked up the manila folder, opened it, and slid papers across the table toward me. And now I'm facilitating an opportunity for both of us to move on. These are divorce papers. I've already signed. You just need to add your signature. I looked down at the papers, then back at him. You're divorcing me? After destroying my career, you're leaving? Katie, be realistic. This marriage has been dead for years. You've been so obsessed with your career. You never wanted kids, never wanted to actually build a life together. Jennifer and I, we want the same things. Family, balance, a real partnership. How long? My voice came out as a whisper. How long have I been seeing Jennifer? He had the audacity to look thoughtful. About 8 months. But I've been planning this conversation for closer to a year, since I realized you were never going to be the wife I needed. 8 months. While I'd been working 70-hour weeks preparing the museum proposal, perfecting every detail, he'd been with her. While I'd been excited to finally break through to the next level of my career, he'd been planning to destroy it. The prenup we signed, he continued, as if discussing the weather, is pretty straightforward. We keep our individual assets, split the joint account 50-50. The house is in my name since I bought it before we married, so you'll need to find somewhere else to live. I'm giving you until the end of the month. I looked at him, this man I'd been married to for 6 years, and realized I'd never really known him at all. Why? I managed. Why marry me in the first place? For the first time, something like genuine emotion crossed his face. Resentment. You want to know the truth? Your father's firm, Gerald Wells Architecture. When we met, you were the rising star, Daddy's brilliant daughter who was going to inherit the company. I thought I was marrying into architectural royalty. He laughed bitterly. Then your father sold the firm 2 years ago and retired to Florida. Suddenly, you were just another architect scrambling for projects. The equation changed. So this is about money? About my father's firm? This is about potential. Jennifer has it. She's hungry, talented, and she doesn't have the baggage of a father's legacy weighing her down. With my connections in construction and her design skills, we can build something real together. He pushed a pen toward me. Sign the papers, Katie. Let's both move on with our lives. I picked up the pen, and for a moment, he looked relieved. Then I set it back down. No, I said quietly. I'm not signing anything until I have a lawyer review this. And I'm certainly not making it easy for you to ride off into the sunset with the woman you got my job for. His expression hardened. Don't make this difficult. The prenup is airtight. You'll get exactly what I'm offering now, or you'll waste thousands on legal fees and get the same result. We'll see about that. I stood up. Get out of my house. It's my house, he corrected. But fine. I'll stay at Jennifer's tonight. You have until Sunday to think this over. If you don't sign by then, I'll file for divorce anyway, and you'll look petty and vindictive in court. He grabbed his keys. Oh, and Katie? Jennifer's going to do an amazing job on the museum. She's already asked me to help with the structural consultations. Hartwell might even bid on the construction contract. It's all working out beautifully. The door closed behind him, and I stood there in the wreckage of my life, surrounded by broken glass and spilled champagne, with divorce papers on my coffee table and my career in tatters. If you've ever had that moment where everything you believed about your life shatters in an instant, you know the strange clarity that comes after the initial shock. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I walked upstairs, sat down at my computer, and started digging. First, I called my best friend Rachel, a family law attorney I'd known since college. He did what? Rachel's voice rose to a pitch that probably scared her neighbors. Kate. Do not sign those papers. Don't sign anything. I'm coming over right now. While I waited for Rachel, I logged into our joint bank account. David had said 50-50 split. The balance showed $127,000. We'd both been contributing equally for years, saving for our future. Or so I'd thought. Then I checked the account history. 3 days ago, David had withdrawn $65,000 and transferred it to an account I didn't recognize. Yesterday, another $30,000. He'd left me with $32,000 and called it a 50-50 split. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Catherine Wells? A woman's voice, professional. Yes. This is Sandra Murphy from Morrison & Associates. I'm on the hiring committee for the museum project. I wanted to reach out personally because something about this morning's email bothered me. She paused. You presented to us 3 times. You were passionate, detailed, brilliant, and then you withdraw via email, with vague mentions of family commitments. It didn't feel right. Sandra, I didn't send that email. My husband accessed my account and sent it without my knowledge. He's having an affair with Jennifer Hayworth, the architect you hired this morning to replace me. Silence on the other end. Then, are you absolutely certain? He admitted it to me an hour ago, along with the fact that he's divorcing me and that Jennifer will ask him to consult on the museum project. His construction company will probably bid on the contract. More silence. That's a serious conflict of interest. If Jennifer Hayworth is personally involved with someone who plans to bid on construction, and she didn't disclose that, Sandra's voice turned sharp. Can you prove any of this? He told me to my face. But I don't have recordings or anything. But you didn't withdraw from consideration. If you were still interested in the position, my heart started beating faster. I never withdrew. That email was sent without my consent. It's actually identity fraud. Give me 2 hours, Sandra said. Don't go anywhere. I need to make some calls. Rachel arrived with Chinese takeout and a briefcase full of legal documents. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. We're going to destroy him, she said calmly. But first, we're going to eat lo mein and make a plan. Over the next 3 hours, Rachel explained exactly how bad David's position was. The prenup he was so confident about, it protected individual assets brought into the marriage but not marital assets accumulated during the marriage. The $95,000 he'd transferred out of our joint account. That was marital asset dissipation, and a judge would absolutely make him pay it back, plus penalties. The house he claimed was solely his. We'd been married 6 years, and I'd paid for every renovation, every furnishing, every improvement. Rachel could argue for a portion of its value. But most importantly, email fraud is a federal crime, Rachel said, pointing her chopsticks at me. He accessed your email account and sent communications pretending to be you, causing you financial harm by costing you a major job opportunity. That's not just divorce court territory, Kate. That's potentially criminal. My phone rang again. Sandra Murphy. Catherine, I've spoken with Richard Chen and our legal team. The email you allegedly sent came from your IP address at 6:47 a.m. Our IT consultant confirmed that your home computer's IP matches the one in our records. However, if someone else sent it without your permission using your home computer, that changes everything. I can prove I wasn't home at 6:47 a.m., I said suddenly. I went for a run. I use a fitness app that tracks my route and time. I left at 6:15 and didn't get back until 7:30. Can you send me that data? I pulled up my running app, screenshotted the route from this morning showing my location nowhere near home at 6:47 a.m., and emailed it to her within minutes. This is helpful, Sandra said. Very helpful. Now, I need you to be completely honest with me. If we were to reopen your candidacy, are you absolutely certain you want this position? Because I'm going to go to bat for you, and I need to know you're all in. I want it more than anything, I said, and meant it. This museum project is everything I've been working toward. Jennifer Hayworth is talented, but she doesn't have the vision for this that I do. She doesn't understand the balance between modern design and historical preservation the way I do. She shadowed me because she was trying to learn my approach. That's what I thought, Sandra said with satisfaction. Sit tight. I'll call you back. Rachel left around midnight, making me promise not to sign anything and to document everything David did or said. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. My phone buzzed at 6:47 a.m. Saturday morning. Exactly 24 hours after the fraudulent email had been sent. It was a text from David. Have you thought about my offer? Sign the papers, Katie. Don't make this ugly. I didn't respond. Instead, I got up, made coffee, and started going through our home office systematically. Every file, every drawer, every email on the shared computer. What I found made my blood run cold. David hadn't just been planning this divorce for a year. He'd been planning it for 3 years. I found a document titled Exit Strategy dated back to when my father first mentioned selling his firm. The document outlined exactly how David would minimize his financial obligations to me, maximizing what he could keep. There were emails between David and a lawyer, discussing the prenup's weaknesses, how to document that I was career-obsessed and didn't want children to paint me as the bad wife. There were spreadsheets tracking every dollar I'd put toward house renovations, every gift I'd bought, every expense I'd covered, and strategies for arguing that these were gifts not contributions. And there, in a folder labeled New Opportunities, were emails between David and Jennifer going back 9 months. Not just affair emails, though there were plenty of those. Strategic emails about my museum project. Kate showed me her presentation boards today, Jennifer had written. I took photos when she left the room. Attaching them here. I think I can improve on her structural integration concept. Perfect, David had replied. When the time is right, we'll make sure you're in position to take this project. It'll launch your career. They'd been planning to steal my project for 9 months. Every time I'd excitedly told David about my progress, every time I'd asked his opinion on structural elements, every time Jennifer had asked to learn from me, they'd been gathering intelligence to replace me. I photographed everything. Every email, every document, every spreadsheet. I uploaded them all to a secure cloud drive that David didn't have access to. My phone rang. Sandra Murphy again. Catherine, I have news. Morrison and Associates takes allegations of fraud and professional misconduct very seriously. We've reviewed the timeline and evidence. The email sent from your account occurred while you can prove you weren't home. Jennifer Hayworth failed to disclose her relationship with David Wells, who works for a construction company that has bid on our projects before. This represents a serious conflict of interest. My heart was pounding. What does that mean? It means we're terminating Jennifer Hayworth's contract effective immediately for failure to disclose conflicts of interest. And it means, if you're still interested, we'd like to offer you the lead architect position on the Metropolitan Arts Museum project. The real offer this time. Contract ready for your signature. I actually had to sit down. Are you serious? Completely. Can you come to our office Monday morning at 9? I'll be there. After I hung up, I sat there, processing. I'd gotten my job back. But that wasn't enough. David and Jennifer had tried to destroy my career. They'd planned this for months. They'd strategized together how to steal my work, my opportunities, my future. It was time to return the favor. I called Rachel. I need your help with something. Something beyond the divorce. I'm listening. David and Jennifer conspired to steal my project through fraud. I have emails proving they planned this for months, that Jennifer plagiarized my work to prepare her own presentation. She took photos of my presentation boards without my permission and claimed the ideas as her own. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Kate, what you're describing is intellectual property theft and fraud. If you can prove Jennifer used your work without attribution to secure a contract, I can prove it. I have everything. Time-stamped emails, photos she took of my boards. Her presentation boards that Morrison Associates must have on file. They'll match my concepts almost exactly. This could ruin her career, Rachel said slowly. Are you sure you want to go nuclear? I thought about David's cold smile as he told me Jennifer was more talented. I thought about the museum project I'd poured my heart into being stolen. I thought about being told to pack my things and leave the house I'd renovated with my own money. I'm sure. Then let's do this right. We're going to need an intellectual property attorney. And we're going to document everything for the divorce proceedings, because this shows premeditation and conspiracy to harm your career and financial standing. Monday morning, I walked into Morrison and Associates wearing my best suit and carrying a portfolio of my original work. Sandra Murphy greeted me personally, along with Richard Chen and 2 other senior partners. Before we sign contracts, Richard said carefully, I need to address what happened last week. We pride ourselves on thorough vetting, and we failed you. Jennifer Hayworth's references were glowing. Her portfolio was impressive, but we should have caught the conflict of interest. We should have verified the withdrawal email more carefully. We've done some digging since Friday, Sandra added. Jennifer's portfolio included several concepts that look remarkably similar to the work you presented. At the time, we thought perhaps there was some industry trend we weren't aware of. Now we understand she had direct access to your presentations. I opened my portfolio. These are my original concept sketches, dated and time-stamped from 9 months ago. These are the presentation boards I showed Jennifer when she asked to shadow me, with photos I took in my office showing the dates on my computer files. And these, I pulled out printouts of emails, are communications between Jennifer and my soon-to-be ex-husband discussing strategies to replace me on this project using my own work. The room went very quiet. Richard Chen's jaw tightened. She signed a contract with us certifying that all her presented work was original. This is breach of contract and professional misconduct. We'll be pursuing legal action. So will I said calmly. I've retained an intellectual property attorney. But first, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about this project. I want the museum contract. I want to build the design I've been dreaming about for years, and I want to do it without any shadow hanging over my career. You'll have it, Sandra said firmly. We should have given it to you in the first place. They slid the contract across the table. Lead architect, Metropolitan Arts Museum, 18-month project timeline, $30 million budget. My name on the building. I signed. That afternoon, I met with Rachel and her recommended IP attorney, Marcus Chen. We filed a civil suit against Jennifer Hayworth for intellectual property theft and against David Wells for conspiracy to commit fraud and theft of trade secrets. We also filed a formal complaint with the American Institute of Architects against Jennifer for plagiarism and professional misconduct. In architecture, your reputation is everything. A finding of plagiarism could end her career before it really began. For the divorce, Rachel had a strategy. David thinks the prenup protects him, but he dissipated marital assets by withdrawing $95,000 from your joint account. He committed fraud that damaged your career and earning potential. And he's been planning this divorce as a strategic exit for 3 years, which shows bad faith. What does that mean for me? It means instead of the $32,000 he left you, you're going to get back the full $95,000 he took, plus your share of the house appreciation, plus your share of his 401k, plus compensation for your career damages. Plus, if the judge is particularly annoyed by his behavior, additional penalties. Rachel smiled grimly. He tried to play you. We're going to make sure he regrets it. David called that evening. I let it go to voicemail. Katie, I heard from Morrison and Associates lawyers today. This is insane. Jennifer didn't steal anything from you. Similar designs happen all the time in architecture. You're being vindictive because I'm leaving you. Sign the divorce papers and drop this ridiculous lawsuit, or you're going to look petty and desperate. I deleted the message without responding. The next morning, I received an email from Jennifer. The subject line was, "Please, Kate, I know you're angry about David and me, but please don't destroy my career over a relationship. Yes, I looked at your presentation boards, but I didn't copy them. I was inspired by your approach. That's different. What we have, the concepts I presented, that came from my own creativity. Please drop the lawsuit. I'll walk away from the museum project. I'll end things with David if that's what you want. Just please don't file with the AIA. That complaint will follow me forever." I read it 3 times, feeling absolutely nothing. Then I forwarded it to Marcus Chen with a note. She's admitting she looked at my presentation boards and used them for her concepts. She's admitting the relationship with David. This is evidence. Marcus replied immediately. Perfect. This is even better than I hoped. She's confessed to the key elements we needed to prove. Forward me any other communications she sends. The divorce hearing was set for 6 weeks out. In the meantime, I threw myself into the museum project with everything I had. Every day I worked on designs. I thought about David's sneer when he said Jennifer was more talented. Every time I refined a concept, I thought about how he tried to steal this from me. The Metropolitan Arts Museum was going to be my masterpiece. Not in spite of what David did, but because of it. He'd wanted to break me. Instead, he'd forged me into something stronger. 3 weeks later, Rachel called with an update. David's attorney wants to settle. They're offering you $150,000 cash, your full share of the house appreciation, and dropping the 30-day move-out requirement. What changed? Marcus's IP lawsuit is making David's life very difficult. Jennifer Hayworth has been fired from her firm for ethics violations while the plagiarism investigation proceeds. David's employer, Hartwell Construction, found out about the scheme and put him on unpaid leave pending an internal investigation. The AIA complaint is moving forward. They're looking at sanctions for Jennifer that could suspend her license. Rachel paused. David's attorney made it very clear that if you drop the civil suit and the AIA complaint, they'll be very generous in the divorce settlement. What do you think? I think you have them over a barrel. But I also think you need to decide what you really want here. Revenge? Justice? To move on? Because we can drag this out and make them both miserable for years. Or we can extract everything you're owed and let you focus on your career. I thought about it for a long time. I thought about the museum project that was already consuming my days in the best possible way. I thought about the speaking invitation I'd received from an architecture conference wanting to hear about my design approach. I thought about the consultation requests from other firms who'd heard I was the new Morrison & Associates lead architect. David and Jennifer had tried to steal my future. Instead, they'd lost theirs and I'd found mine. Counteroffer, I told Rachel. Have $200,000 cash, my full share of house appreciation. He pays all my legal fees for both the divorce and the IP suit, and I keep the car. In exchange, I'll agree to drop the civil suit against both of them. What about the AIA complaint? That stays. Jennifer plagiarized my work and needs to face professional consequences. But I don't need to financially destroy them both. I just need them to understand they can't destroy me. Rachel laughed. I'll make the call. David's attorney accepted the counteroffer within 2 hours. Apparently, facing potential legal fees of $100,000 plus and the ongoing damage to both their careers made my terms look very attractive. The divorce was finalized 36 days after David had slid those papers across my coffee table. I walked out of the courthouse with a check for $200,000, full ownership of my car, and absolutely no regrets. Jennifer's AIA hearing was scheduled for 2 months later. I didn't attend, but Marcus kept me updated. She received a formal reprimand and a 1-year suspension of her license, not career-ending, but career-damaging. Enough that every future employer would know she'd cut corners and plagiarized. David and Jennifer's relationship didn't survive the fallout. Apparently, losing your job and professional reputation tends to strain even affairs built on conspiracy and stolen dreams. 6 months after David handed me divorce papers, I stood in the shell of the Metropolitan Arts Museum, watching construction crews work from my designs. The space was everything I'd imagined. Soaring ceilings that played with natural light, innovative use of sustainable materials, a perfect blend of modern architecture and classical museum functionality. Richard Chun stood beside me, reviewing the latest progress reports. You know, he said casually, we've had 3 other museums reach out asking if you'd consult on their projects. The Baltimore Contemporary wants you to redesign their entrance pavilion. There's talk of a profile in Architectural Digest. I smiled, watching sunlight stream through the skeleton of my design. Tell them I'm interested. After the museum opening, my phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Signed the papers selling David's house today. He's officially out of your name and your life. Drinks tonight to celebrate? I replied, absolutely. But I'm buying. I just got my first royalty check from the museum design licensing agreement. Because here's the thing about people who try to destroy you. They can only succeed if you let them. David thought he could sabotage my career, steal my work, and leave me with nothing. What he actually did was eliminate the deadweight from my life and give me the motivation to reach heights I might never have pushed for otherwise. The Metropolitan Arts Museum opened 18 months later to rave reviews. My design won 3 industry awards. The Baltimore Contemporary hired me. The Architectural Digest profile ran with the headline, Rising star Catherine Wells builds a career on her own terms. I framed a copy of that article and hung it in my new home office, in the loft apartment I bought with my divorce settlement. Right next to it, I hung a small post-it note I'd written to myself the day I signed the museum contract. It said simply, they tried to break me. I built myself a museum instead. And every time I looked at it, I remembered, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something so magnificent that the people who tried to tear you down become footnotes in your success story. David is working middle management at a smaller construction firm now. Jennifer eventually got her license back and works at a residential architecture practice, designing kitchen renovations. And me? I'm designing museums, mentoring young architects, and living proof that sometimes, the worst thing that happens to you becomes the catalyst for the best thing you ever do. If you're facing your own betrayal, your own moment where everything falls apart, remember this. They can take your job, your marriage, your security, but they can't take your talent, your determination, or your ability to rebuild something even better than what they destroyed. Sign the papers when you're ready, but never, ever sign away your power to define your own future. That decision, the choice to fight back strategically and build something better, made all the difference.